What's up, my wait in line lovers? That was so random. But today we'll be talking about top 10 best specs to use in PvP in a universal time. My opinion, because some of these specs are in here, will be unexpected a lot, and others some people expected already because those specs are brain dead. But anyways, let's start listing number 10, being the Wolf. Now this spec is really underrated. It did have a rework like a long time ago, and it's not good at all to these new gen specs. Probably because they focus less on specs and more like anime crossovers, which I don't blame them, of course. Now you might be asking, why is the world better than other stands in this list? It's because it's easy to control and combo extend, because of not much knockback it does. But it does kind of remind me of Star, but without a counter. Now, please note that the combos I am doing in this video are not true. So don't try them, but that's your choice. What makes this stand stand out is that you do not really need a trait to make this stand perfect for comboing. But if you prefer having one, just get the Frost one. The stand has great stun, a lot of damage. Short cooldowns, and it's really fun and easy to use stand on or off. Sometimes using the stand on can slower than the off one, or it can be the opposite. But that's just a player point of view. You do not need a skin for the stand to make it work. But yeah, that's all for the world. Its only problem is that it's outdated, not a lot of moves, and it's slow with not a lot of stun. Well, on to the next one, which is Espear. Now, the only reason this spec is higher than the world is that it has less cooldowns, a lot of combo extending, and a bit more damage. And its time stop lasts a bit more longer, which makes sense, because it's a little amount better. But that's kind of obvious because you need a cursed orb just to get this spec. And it was broken back in the day, but not anymore, because of these new gen specs and the lack of love. The specs got, so they never got a rework. Maybe, I don't know. The problem I found about this spec, all attacks are short range, very short. And if you miss, you will be heavenly punished because you get stun locked by your own moves. But it's pretty good. Is it worth getting no... It's better of getting the world than this, because even if they made it easier to get stands, you still need a cursed orb, which is the rarest drop in the game. But anyways, on to the next one. Love Train. This one I don't need to yap a lot because everyone knows this need a rework. The reason why it's much better than SPR is that it have decent moves. Some very short a combo extender. A free one which stun locks them for a while for it to stun lock them again. To do a free combo, but I don't know, it might kill them. But it's one of the stands who do need a trait, maybe Voided or Frost. But I would say it does heavenly amount of damage without a trait. Now imagine putting Godly or RCT, it would make it broken. Its standoff is better than the on version, but if you want a lot of stun, stand on Ashen. A very big forgotten stand. Never seen anyone use it before, and I probably won't see a lot. But this stand moves all combo extend, but has 3 problems, which is 1, it doesn't have a lot of stun. 2, you do need a trait to make this spec really effective, don't really need a mythic trait, because I was using a rare and doing a lot of damage at the same time. You just have to choose the right one. And the last thing is that its form, like buff doesn't really buff much, which is why it's number 7, but overall it's pretty good. It can handle its own with the new specs. Maybe not the top 4, but it can handle on its own if you use it correctly. Soul Survivor. Another underrated spec in my opinion. It's one of the best epic specs, second to another spec you will see later on the video. It has a lot of tracking moves, a bit less cooldowns and a bit of stun. Its moves do combo extend, but you have to it in a backwards order minus the counter and form. Its form, it's great, and the counter is decent. But the only 2 problems that I found about the spec is that you need to be in range to hit your tracking moves. Which, that's not a problem. The real problem is that somehow I can block a super armor move that should be unblockable, and somehow you can bypass the counter, even if it's active if you block M1. The damage is decent. It's not a lot, but it works. It's one of the specs, you need a trait like something that boosts damage stun or gives more defense, because you take a lot of damage for some reason. Suna, very good spec, underrated, has a lot of stun combo extending. A lot of moves, decent damage, and a lot of placeholders moves, which leave you stun yourself. I don't know why people don't use it anymore, but it's pretty good. Abbott Brain Dead, you don't really need a combo to kill someone with, because all the moves are made to spam all of them to make it work. Only problem that it doesn't do a lot of damage, mainly focused on stun and extending. But hey, I ain't complaining. Sukuna and Gojo. These two specs were the most dangerous with Toji until he got heavily nerfed. To the point there's not a lot of Toji mains anymore. Sukuna was the biggest threat in a universal time because since there was a lot of love to Sukuna, he kept getting buffed and added new moves until the community got mad. He's so broken that if you got ever caught in a Sukuna combo, just know you are not leaving the sky for a while and you can't move at all and your breathe time is 2 seconds. And that made Sukuna very hated in PvP, and plus he was the best spec to grind anything. And still is just added debuffed. Gojo. IT got the worst debuff I ever seen that even. The tracking moves are bad. It's so bad to the point. Look, you can actually see the debuffs, but some people still use Gojo for grinding, which is nice to see. They wouldn't give up on Gojo. Unlike Toji and Sukuna, even the Sukuna is far better. Sol and Nocturnus, both are really good specs. Good damage, good range, good stun, and good moves. They both really good moves, but one is far better being Sol because of one move Cosmic Barrage. I'm just kidding. The other is better than Sol. But since the nerf that happened, I'm not sure if you can still do the infinite combo, I don't know. But I will say this, it does put it near to Sol now, and since both stands have a lot of damage, Sol less stun, and good moves, it's best both being the same level of strength, while Sol being a bit less because some moves needs a little timing. Killua, now before the rework the spec was not bad, but the moves were outdated. It was more like a spam spec, but it was pretty decent, and really fun to use. It could have keep up to the new gen specs a little, but it was overshadowed, maybe even forgotten at some point. Who knows, but the old version could make the list probably above Ashen. Now the new version is just peak itself. They cooked so hard that now you have to think which mode you were going to use since there's 2-1 is fast and the other is damage. Now the only problem I found about this spec is that there's 2 modes, not a lot of attacking moves. And it might get nerfed because of how much stun it is very broken. But sadly it's not number 1 because those stand are much better and free to use, but also some very hard to get. But overall Killua is a good spec for PvP and grinding. To this day, I don't understand why they don't abuse Start Platinum. The World. I get it's not easy, but it's one of the stands that didn't get nerfed. It's really good. I found 0 bad sides of it. Though you have to be skilled using this, and yes, I know you might asking why this stand almost any spec can overpower. This, yes, I agree, but it's one of the stands in the game that's the best with D4C. Yuji got nerfed a little. I don't know. But is still usable than most of the characters. Yeah, Sukuna player would be better than this. But with its debuffs, it probably wouldn't do that much. 4-star Platinum, the World, you do need a trait that would stun them for a while to do a perfect combo. Plus with its boost that gives the player, you can maybe one-shot a person with the right combo. But I will say this, it really needs a rework. For Yuji, you don't really need a trait for it because it's really good by itself. And as for Umbra, get voided. Or a stun trait done, it's GG's for the other player. It takes a skilled Umbra to beat another skilled one. If you're an Umbra player, please touch grass and stop. Well, that's it for the video. Please like and subscribe. Until the next update, I'll post something like this.